Welcome to the Kickers Roundtable, numero uno. Today is the 16th of February, and we got a fun show because we have never done this before. So we got a full lineup tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce these four courageous kickers. First, we have is Jonah Lipel, Harvard, Noah Rauschenberg at Baylor, Evan Staley at West Virginia. Do you remember your first fall camp and what you were expecting to happen? Mitch, since I forgot you're going to lead off. Mitch Jeter from South Carolina.
Yeah, so I came in the summer of 2020. So obviously everything was going crazy in the world at that time. And, coming in, I think that, there was a lot of opportunity there for me with here at South Carolina. They just had their starting kickoff guy graduate. And then they had an incumbent field goal kicker in Parker White. So kind of coming in for me was, obviously I knew the field goal job. The guy had been starting for about 3 years before that. So I didn't really know my opportunity there, but I definitely knew there was an opportunity open at kickoff. Okay. And that kind of, revolved my training and everything around in the summer just to, make sure everything I had was on and, really getting my mind right to go into fall camp and be ready to compete with the guy that's been through everything.
So, were you expecting, in terms of your performance, like distance and hang time on kickoff, for example?
Yeah. So, I knew coming in, obviously in the SEC, you've got some guys back there that can really return the ball really well. So I knew coming in, 65 at least was definitely a bare minimum. Obviously, you try to get up there in the 70s to make sure there's no return. And then obviously, big thing for me coming in my freshman year was definitely my hang times, really getting that consistent 4-1, 4-2 ball. Coming in, you've got coming to a college environment, you've got, now you're playing in a stadium, now you're playing on television, you've got a lot going on that can affect you. But, I think that hang time was probably my biggest thing coming in, and trying to put together distance and hang time. It was definitely a lot to go off of, but yeah, definitely college is getting in a whole new level, and it's definitely a big learning curve.
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. My freshman fall camp was a very humbling experience, to say the least. I thought I was a hot shot coming in. I thought I was going to play right away. And that could have been far from the truth as possible. There was a 2-year starter before me, and I was highly recruited. I thought it didn't matter. I'm going to come in, win the job no matter what. To my surprise, I went through a gauntlet of holders and just a bunch of different situations that ended up me not winning the field goal job. But I still kicked off as a freshman, which is a great experience to just get in the game. But coming into that, I thought I was going to be the guy no matter what. I thought this was my job to win. And that couldn't have been farther from the truth. So it was very humbling. Definitely set me on a good headspace going forward, but definitely not what I was expecting for sure.
Yeah, mine was kind of like a mix of both of Mitch and Jonah. I kind of came in thinking that I could win the job pretty easily. We had a guy who he was the backup the year prior for me getting there, and he kicked in the bowl game and everything. And then the kicker who was starting the prior year got injured, and so basically the field goal job and the kickoff job was open. And so I came in thinking that I was going to be able to win. I came in highly recruited, big leg, and so I thought it's just going to be my job to win, and went through kind of a huge mental situation where I kind of got a lot in my head where it's like, hey, I need to hit this ball every single time.
And what was that ball?
It's basically just hit my best ball, which is my hit the A ball. Got to hit every time. Okay. If I don't, then something's like it's not going to work out. Or if I do, it'd get into my head and go on a downward spiral and just go down from there. And then I was fortunate enough to start kickoff freshman year, and that kind of helped me mature a little bit in that aspect. It was like, you don't have to hit this ball every single time. Just go out there, hit the ball. It's going to be the most consistent for you. Make sure that just getting enough hang time where your team can get down there, get them inside the 20-yard line. If it's not a touchback, if it is good, it's great. If not, just make sure your team can get down there and it's not too bad of a hit where it leaves them open and vulnerable for a big return.
Yeah, man. I had the coaches roundtable last week, and Coach Anun was saying, look, man, I prefer a B ball on the numbers.
Mhm.
Makes it easier for the coverage team. Had you known that, Noah, before? But like, hey, man, I just need that B ball.
I mean, I did, but then I think it just got into the mental case where it's like I have to be perfect every single time I go out, and if it's not, then it's not good enough for me. Basically, and it just kind of got into the downward spiral where if it's not perfect, then it's not good enough. And so I was trying to always go for the A ball, and if it wasn't that, then I was just kind of mad at myself and mad at everything else.
Have you guys, again, floor's open. Where does that perfection and A ball expectations come from?
Kickers, we see our A ball and it's beautiful, and of course that's the thing that we hunt every time. Those are the big balls that everybody looks at and is like, holy cow.
It's fun.
That's a legit kicker. But like the thing that I realized, like maturing, I played college for 6 years, finished up last year, and the biggest thing that I realized like through it is, sometimes, you're going to be in conditions where, yeah, you'd like to hit your A ball, but if you hit your C ball and it goes in, that's a lot more important than a pretty A ball.
Yeah, I guess piggybacking off what Evan was saying is kind of the nature of our position. We go off our makes, so it's a game where you're judged on if you're not perfect. So I think we kind of rely on our ability to be the best under any circumstances. And playing in the Northeast, some of the conditions are just straight up nasty. So it's really just how good you are when you're at your worst, I think. But it's definitely like a perfectionist mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you guys had that mind shift? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it sounds like that's kind of a mindset shift then. How good can my bad day be?
Right. So, I mean, coming in, as a kicker, you obviously, you don't get as many opportunities as any other position on the team. And I think everybody pretty much knows that. But, coming in, you really got to know you got to make the most of your opportunities. I'd say that, you're only going to get 3-4 kicks or less probably in a practice. So, finding maybe not your A ball, but the ball, like some of these guys said, that is maybe not your best ball, but it's going to be a ball that's going to do the job. It's going to get the job done. At bottom line, that's what our position is can we get the job done at the end of the day? And I think that's what you got to take from a mindset of coming in being, I'm going to hit the biggest ball around and nobody's going to mess with me, rather than I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get the job done.
That's an interesting word, job. What's the difference between winning a job, because all of you guys have done it, and now keeping a job?
What I've noticed in, my time, I feel like a lot of times, when you do the same job over and over and over again, because, we, receivers run different routes every play. Quarterbacks, read different every time. And, ours gets repetitive. You're doing the same thing every time. So, I feel like as kickers, sometimes after 3-4 years, you can kind of settle into that routine and kind of expect and get complacent with what you're doing. It's very easy to do that. I've done that. I've done that in my career, and it takes sometimes an eye-opening experience. Like for me, in 2019, I got hurt. I was out for 3 games. When I came back, I thought I was just going to start right away. Didn't happen. I had to, win my job back. And, honestly, it made me kick a lot better to realize, like, hey, if there's somebody behind you that's pushing you, you gotta look at yourself. You gotta look at your form and everything again. And, am I doing the right things? And I feel like a lot of times that's where kickers, when they get complacent is where they, lose that job.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off that, going into this past season, I basically starting on kickoff for 2 years, going to go to my third year, thinking that I was going to easily win the kickoff job. And then coming in the summer, we bring in 2 guys who pretty much have pretty strong legs and can kick off pretty well. And going out to practice and everything, and I'm seeing them hit 4-1s, hitting them and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh crap, they might actually have a chance to beat me at this. And it's kind of going to the place where you're not comparing yourself to them and not saying that I had to do this to beat them, but kind of looking back at yourself and saying, what can I do to get better at this certain aspect of this certain movement, kind of to add 0.2 seconds of hang time, 0.1 seconds of hang time, or 5 yards of distance. And it's kind of doing like the iron sharpens iron, where you know that you can kind of help them and they can help you to figure out how to improve your game and everything. And I think that helped me this whole entire season was trying to figure out little tiny aspects of the follow through or approach and just adding 0.1, 5 yards here and there and just kind of help just get your best ball out there.
Yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, kind of basically go off what Noah was saying of, like, I guess getting that extra distance or extra hang time, to not really necessarily getting better all the time of being better than the guy next to you. It's kind of, okay, I did decent last year, or however you thought you did last year, continue to build off that and really never getting comfortable or never getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that's kind of like what I try to live by is, if I'm uncomfortable, kind of just allow that to happen and let it build you. Because if you get comfortable in that state of mind, the next thing you know, you turn around and somebody's beating you the next day. So
I think for me, it kind of goes back to the aspect of comparing yourselves to others. I think especially with the way that camps are now, it's everyone's comparing to everybody else. And so, what I've learned now in like the past year of maturing a little bit more and how everything is just not to compare yourself to the number one kicker in the nation, or not to compare yourself to the guy who's ahead of you, but always trying to improve yourself and improve your craft and get 1% better. Try to watch them and see what they do to see why they're so good, and see if you can add that to your style, and then or your technique, and then switch it or something to make sure it fits. And so you don't have to do exactly what they do. Find what works best for you, and see if you can just add the 5 yards to your field goals, to your kickoffs, to your punts. See if you can add the extra hang time. See if you can add the more accuracy, if this helps or that helps. And if it doesn't, you can let it go and figure something else out and see if something else works for you. And if it does, if you can keep it. If it doesn't, you can let it go and find something else. And this is that trial and error to figure out what works best for you and go with it.
I think the biggest thing that, a lot of high school guys will probably, or college guys, whenever they were in high school, will probably tell you is, that aspect of competition. You go to the camps or whatever to, get your ranking and, like you said, compare yourself to other people. But that's what, 3-4 times a year, maybe like 5 times max. College camps, you add a little more days in there. But now you're in a program where every single day you're going against somebody that's as good as you, or somebody that if you're behind them is better than you. So I think coming from high school to college, the biggest thing that a lot of guys I think would benefit learning is, be comfortable with competition, and work on yourself rather than checking your shoulder all the time, left and right, to see what everybody else is doing.
So it sounds like there's a difference between comparing and competing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
Go ahead, Jonah.
Okay, I was going to say, I think camps are a great way to kind of boost your status as a recruit and to be a good platform to get your name out there, but it really doesn't teach you how to kick in games. So you can be a great recruit, number 1 in the country, all that, and then get to a school and stink. I think what separates those who succeed at the next level is really the mental game. And I think mastering that and focusing more on that as a recruit would pay dividends in college. When I was a senior, one of my coaches asked what my mental routine was before a game. And I was like, what's that? And I think something like that early on something that you can rely on.
Right.
That's going to make the difference 4 to 5 years down the line, not whether you can hit a 4 or 5 80-yard kickoff, you know?
Yeah, I like what Jonah said too. The competition in high school. The big thing, when I was in high school, going to these camps and everything, there's especially in high school, kids are, at different levels in terms of growth, both physically and mentally. And I was on that lower spectrum of growth. Like I went to college at 165 pounds. At 6'2", like I wasn't gonna hit as big a balls as somebody who weighs 235 in high school. Like
Right.
it just wasn't gonna happen. And I grew into that. Like now I'm 6'2", 210. So you
Jeez.
can't look at where you're at. You can't look at those guys and be like, I need to hit that. Like I need to do that. A lot of times we want to hit balls at 60-yard balls. We want to hit 75-yard kickoffs, but you can talk to any coach in the country, and they want a guy who is consistent for college. I would say 50 and in. If you can hit 80+% of your field goals from 40 to 50 yards, and you're making pretty much every kick inside 40 yards, then they're going to look at you a lot more than somebody who's crushing 60-yard field goals at a camp, but only making 60% of their field goals.
Consistency and competition. Those are the two words that are blinking in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got about 4 minutes left in the show. And again, guys, this has been awesome. So thank you so much for joining. Let's finish it off with this. Give me a story where you realized this shift occurring, whether that happened in a game or in fall camp. Like, where did you experience the growth that largely we've been talking about?
I'd say for me, where I realized, we've been talking about A ball, B ball, kind of what you want. We were playing Texas in 2018. Huge game. We're both ranked in the top 15 in the country. I went out on the field, pregame, there was a 20-mile-an-hour into my face going the one direction. And I told coach, he's like, where do you want to kick from? Like, go in this direction. Where do you want to kick from? And I was like, man, over 40 yards, the way it's swirling, like I don't know, kind of where it's going to go, just the way it was swirling in there. And, we get into the first quarter of the game and coach is like 45-yard field goal. Coach is like, go out there and kick. And, we've talked about mentality too. And honestly, I kind of wasn't walking out there. I was like, holy cow, like, struggle with this in pregame over 40. This is going to be rough. And, I got out there and, I set up and I was like, hey, this, I want that A ball that just looks perfect, that goes through the uprights. But, I'm going to have to drive this. It's going to look ugly probably. But as long as it goes through the uprights, that's what matters. So I stepped back there. I hit an ugly ball. Like in terms of if I'm rating my kicks, it was ugly, but went through the uprights. Points, that counted. And at the end of the game, we ended up winning that game by 1 point.
Wow.
So, just going out there and I guess that was a huge time for growth. Just, realizing that, hey, this doesn't always take the best product I can produce. As long as, at the end of the day, the coaches only care, hey, does the ball go through the upright?
Right.
So.
Yeah, so this past year we were playing Princeton, not as big as rivals, Texas, obviously, but one of our biggest rivals. We haven't beat them since my time here, and hit 2 field goals early in the first half, and then probably, a minute before the second half, before the first half ends, we get a pick, go on to hit a field goal, take the lead before the half is over. And before the season, as context, like I made a bunch of new cadences to kind of throw off defenses, and we get out there and it's actually pretty loud, and I like can't hear our holder, and so we have a miscommunication, ends up in a missed kick. So whole halftime, I'm just really upset in my head about it. Obviously, like it's bad for the stats. This is my first miss of the year. Sorry, and I just kept telling myself to stay strong, that this game is going to come down to a field goal, and I'm going to be the difference. Fast forward to first overtime of the game. So I haven't kicked since the end of the second quarter. Their kicker makes a field goal, and we go out to kick. And if I miss, we lose. If I make it, we stay in. Getting my stance, the crowd is just going crazy. I can't hear anything. Snap, my holder bobbles the snap, and that just instant heartbreak. Stomach drops, but I have complete faith in him. I know that I just need to drive through this ball, stand my line, and it's going to go in. And last second, like last 10th of a second, he just gets the ball down, and it goes straight through the middle. And that was just such a great feeling. So relieving to stay true, to stay mentally strong, make the kick. We ended up actually losing the game in the fifth overtime. Super controversial, but just to stay true and allow my team to stay in the game, that was a big moment for me.
Yeah, I was like, for me, I don't think it was a particular game this year, but for me, this fall camp, this past year, I think was the biggest eye opener for me, especially with the kickoffs. That's just like, I don't need to hit the 4-3 ball every single time. No. I don't need to hit 80 yards. I can hit it maybe 66 yards, just deep enough to get my guys a chance to get them inside the 20. And so this whole entire year, if I had a bad hit that maybe was able to get returned, go to the sideline, try to figure out what exactly I did wrong, go to the next one and kick it. And I think that kind of helped me mature just in the aspect of, hey, it doesn't have to be this ball every single time. And then it just kind of got to the point where I could relax and not be as tense in certain games and everything, and realize I have to hit my A ball. If there's a returner who can run a 4.3 and has like 30-yard average return, I can hit my B ball and be fine because I can control my team. And I think it all came to fruition, especially in that Big 12 championship, where I knew I could relax. I knew I could just go out there and just kick my ball. And I knew if it was a bad hit, the return team would have my back. And if they were tired just coming off of a long drive or a long offensive drive, I could hit my 80-yard ball. And I was just lucky enough to I think had all my kicks were over 4.2s, had a couple of 4.4s. And so I think it just always like, okay, I can relax, I can hit my ball, and it just all came to fruition.
You didn't have to make those A balls. You got into a B ball mindset, more relaxed, and the results took care of themselves. Look, guys, that's all the time that we have for this roundtable. I want to say thank you again to each one of you. Let's go around the horn one more time. How can a high schooler or someone who is on social media find you? We'll start with you, Noah.
So my Instagram and I believe my Twitter are the same exact thing. Noah_Roush99. You can just follow me or DM me. I'll pretty much answer to pretty much almost everything. So,
Jonah?
Yeah, my Instagram is JLIPEL. Twitter's the same thing, just 10 at the end of that.
Got it. Evan?
Mine's the same on every platform. It's EvanScott_1. Like Noah said, any questions that you all may have, feel free to ask.
Mitch, we started with you. We're going to end with you.
All right. I'd say, so my Instagram is just Mitch Jeter. And then I believe my Twitter is Mitch_Jeter. So not too much difference there. You guys can reach out to me anytime. I'm pretty open. I'll respond and get back to you guys with the best advice that I can.
Well, there it is. That's the Kickers Roundtable #1. Consistency, competition, and that was a great time. I can't wait for us to do it again. We'll see you next time on the Simple Kicking Show. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Well, that was fun. If you haven't already, check out Simple Kicking across all social media platforms by clicking down in the link below. Thanks again for showing up at the Simple Kicking Show for Kickers Roundtable #1. We'll see you for the Coaches Roundtable #3 coming up shortly, and I'm sure we'll have another fun lineup on the next Kickers Roundtable. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good evening.